Okay. If you're visiting today, we especially welcome you. I know we've got some out-of-town company and maybe even some first-time visitors. You can learn more about us on our website, UUFEC, which stands for Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of the Emerald Coast, very long mouthful, .com. Please fill out a visitor card by the front door if you would like to get our weekly emailed newsletter. We look forward to visiting with you after the service. Whatever your background, your race, your sexual, political, or religious views, you have found here a safe place where you are among friends. As Unitarian Universalists, we look for wisdom from all the world's religions, from all the great thinkers, and from each other. Sometimes the best lessons come from the people right around you. We have no set creed that we all believe in, but we do share some values that are listed on the back of your order of service. If those look like things that you also believe in, you have found the right place. Normally, we have a lot of announcements. Kind of an empty space this week. Everybody's on vacation. However, you can always check the e-news on Friday to see what's coming up. And Social Justice is always active. Their contact is in here. We also have a description of next week's service, which is about hope. After the service today, everyone is welcome to stay for coffee and refreshments, followed by our second hour small discussion groups. Today we have What is UU by Deborah Baker Ryan, who I don't see yet. Is that one canceled today? Okay. And Lauren, are you going to do something today? Another announcement. TV Dinner Theater on Friday. It's the first Friday of the month. So it's 6 o'clock? Right here, TV Dinner Theater, if you would like to perform or just visit and watch other people perform. We have Learn to Crochet with Alex Jones in the stage room. I think that's a new one. Is this the first time? Okay. And if you want to discuss today's topic, you're welcome to make a circle up front for the speaker's circle. Today's topic, the ministry of worms, does not sound very festive. However, as we approach the new year, it's tradition to kind of think through the last year, think through your life, the groups you belong to, what from our past year needs to be composted and reborn as something fresher and better suited to the new upcoming year. That's where the worms come in. But first, the prelude prepares us for the service. Cecile is on vacation. Our music is recorded. Feel free to sing along, though, if you like. It's gathered here.
Struggle and apart, spirit.
Alex will come up to light the chalice. Alex? Our chalice is a reminder that in the past, our predecessors acted with courage and faith to create this denomination, this fellowship, this congregation, bringing hope and safety to new generations. We light it today as a reminder of who we are called to be in a world that still needs changing. With courage and faith, we bring ourselves to the work before us. Please stand as you're able for our first hymn, The Fire of Commitment, which is in the Teal Hymnal, 1028, or you can watch the words on the screen. The kids will come up for the time for all ages. We don't have a lot today, but anybody's welcome to come up. Otherwise, it's everybody. You know that. All right, it's everybody. Oh, thank you. So, there it is. Yay. We got big kids. Yeah, all big kids. That's good because they know all the answers. So, Who composts? Does anybody compost? Lots of people. So exactly what does that mean?
Like to set stuff outside to decompose.
And why do you do that?
You do it to fertilize like plants and crops.
Yeah, otherwise all that stuff's going out in plastic bags to the trash, and instead you're turning it into good dirt that'll grow new things. Okay, so something that is stopping or ending now, like the orange peel from the orange you had for breakfast, or the grass that you cut, is being turned into something fresh and new. But it doesn't only apply to plants. What else could be grown, so to speak, in the future out of what is stopping or ending now? That's a much harder question. Did you do something last year that doesn't serve you anymore? You don't need to do again in the new year. Maybe you've developed into something else. Tough one. Maybe you used to have training wheels on your bicycle, and that was great for a while, but maybe you're always riding crooked because you're leaning on one of those side wheels, and eventually you need to get rid of that, right? And learn. It helped you. It kind of gave you the idea of what it feels like to ride a bicycle, but now you need to get rid of that to grow further, to learn to really ride that bicycle, right? There are a lot of things like that in our past. I had that trouble as a teacher. I would have all these great projects and lessons for my students, but the next year you get another one, and the next year you find some more, and then the principal says, now you need to teach this and this and this, and you can't fit it all into the day. Some of it you have to let go. But you don't just forget it. You take little bits, the best bits, and take them on with you to the new year. So how about this angle? Is there a time when you said no to something so that you could say yes to something better? Tough question. Can you think of anything that you want to tell us about? Don't have to. Sometimes you can just think it in your head. That works too. Maybe you have friends or used to have friends that left you feeling not that great about yourself. And like they were good friends for a while, but if they don't make you feel good about yourself, why do you want us to keep hanging out with them, right? Maybe you need to kind of let them go and get some new friends that do make you feel good about yourself. That can be a kind of growth too. Maybe the church has things that we've always done and we keep doing because we've always done them, but maybe they don't serve us as well as they used to with the membership that we have now. So as a group, we can choose to let some things go and develop new routines that serve us better. So next week is New Year's Day. And traditionally, that's a time for kind of thinking about the last year. What do you want to let go of? You don't have to make a resolution. Instead of just thinking, how am I going to be better next year, you can also think about, what can I let go that I don't need to do anymore? It doesn't serve me anymore, to make way for new and better things to come. So, something to ponder. Thank you for listening. And I assume you have all right. Go now in peace. Go now in peace. May the Spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. The sharing of joys, milestones, and concerns is a tradition in our fellowship. You're welcome to come up, drop a glass pebble into the water, either silently or while speaking into the microphone, so we can share our joys and support each other in sorrows. We leave a time in our service every week for some quiet prayer or meditation. I'm going to begin us today with some words adapted from Rebecca Ann Parker. Your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse this world. The mind's power, the strength of the hands, the reaches of the heart, the gift of speaking, listening, imagining, seeing, wanting, waiting. Any of these can serve to feed the hungry, bind up wounds, welcome the stranger, praise what is sacred, do the work of justice, or offer love. Any of these can also close the prison door, hoard bread, abandon the poor, obscure what is holy, comply with injustice, or withhold love. You must answer this question. What will you do with your gifts? After our song of dedication, the greeters will take up the offering. Generosity is a spiritual practice which supports our fellowship and our meeting here together. If you're paying your pledge with a check, please make a note in the memo line. Our Share the Plate partner this month is our own Emerging Needs Fund, which you'll find described, or it used to be, in the order of service. Maybe not this week, but it's to help our own. It's one way of supporting our friends who may need a boost this season. Please be generous. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and by this we live. You also know the offertory, so feel free to sing if you want to.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are
Our perspective this morning is presented by the Rev Dr. Megan Foley, who is Deputy Director of Congregational Life for the Unitarian Universalist Association. If you're not familiar with the UUA, Unitarian Universalist Association, they're like the mothership. They give us guidance and support. They don't govern or rule us, but they are supportive and help us along. So, Dr. Reverend Megan Foley with the Ministry of Worms.
I'd like to start with a quote from a Presbyterian pastor named Reverend McKenna Wallen, who lives in Towson, Maryland, not too far from where I'm speaking right here, just north of the Washington, D.C. border. You'll hear a lot from her today. Her essay reflects on the role of decay in the health of soil. Soil, you know, dirt. Reverend Wallen writes, I grew up on soil that was overextended and never allowed to rest and rot. But in these new places where I have now lived, I've watched my friends and family garden and farm in rhythms that allow whole seasons for decomposition. Now in my own garden, deep in the mess of roots and earths and insects, I am struck every season by how much new life relies on death. It's almost spring in my growing zone. Through months of wind, rain, and snow, the earth in my yard has rested under a layer of last year's plants that we uprooted and left to gently disintegrate into the dirt. Their decay will be covered over and mixed with new layers of soil and extra compost. And as we layer rot and nutrients, the soil will start to dance with seeds germinating, worms wriggling, ants and spiders climbing, birds circling and digging. The final uprooted bits of last year's tomatoes, peas, eggplants, and broccoli will finish their composting work in the soil, feeding the new plants as they grow. It's true, right? If you're listening to this near to when I recorded it at the tail end of autumn, my leaves here are to show you the time, you know that what she describes is happening outside right now, even if you're in a part of the country that doesn't have that much winter. Let's take a breath together and remember with our bones the lessons the earth teaches us every year. That death is not really the end, that matter is neither created nor destroyed, that life isn't a line exactly with a stop and a start, but a spiral that comes around and goes away again and again. Just take a breath and remember this thing that you know about how soil becomes richer, deeper, and ready to grow something new when the time is right. It happens because of things ending. It happens through things that die. Here's another idea to add in from an organizational consultant named Constance Diericks. She writes in her book, sometimes you must abandon your work. I was struck by this because it isn't an easy thing to do. When we make an investment in a piece of art or a business, we can become very attached to it. The concept of sunk costs applies to both business and to art. The idea is that once we have made an investment that feels significant to us, we have a hard time letting go. Yet, an artist may need to put a canvas aside to free up energy for another project. In business, we often hang on to unproductive plans, people, or entire businesses long after it is clear that we should cut them loose. Why? Because the human urge is to preserve that in which we have invested. As UUA staff serving congregation these last 10 years, I have learned to love it when congregations start asking the same question at the same time. It points to a trend. And in recent years, and more as we get past the lockdown era, the question we UUA staff all get asked is, how do I make this church work? When pressed, the person asking will say that the way the church used to work doesn't really work anymore. There's not enough money, there's not enough volunteers, there's too much building or the wrong kind, there aren't enough families, there isn't enough what? Passion or drive or good vibes to make the church run the way it's supposed to run. And folks want to know from us UUA staff the special trick, the new technique, or upcoming conference, or the hot new book to read to tweak the dang thing and just make it all work again. This thing called church that you love and have gotten so much from, and you probably didn't invent, and you definitely don't want to ruin or even hurt. You just want it to work. Reverend Wallen tells us about her church. My church has been on the same land since it was planted during white flight. A Southern Presbyterian church closed in the city of Baltimore and gave its name, pulpit, font, and money to what would become our church, so that it might serve the white families flooding Towson, north of Baltimore. We are the result of a composted church, and now we are about to feed the soil again. This faith community that had given enormously to mission in the past was now spending more than a quarter of its budget on property maintenance, drawing from endowments to make major repairs. Property spending had outpaced mission tenfold that year, and we knew it wasn't right. The budget as it existed was speeding us towards death. What type of ministry could possibly flourish, overshadowed by a physical structure that was breaking down? Perhaps what we needed was a better question. How could we enrich the earth for new growth? As the leaves on the trees around us turned and mulched into the ground last fall, we voted to sell our building and move. We voted to compost our property in the hope that it would nourish the work of our congregation and repair what had been thrown out of balance. Now, as the weather turns to spring, the property has been listed and tours have begun. We don't yet know where the journey will take us. We don't yet know where the journey will take us. Back to constant dierics, referring to art and business, and congregations, I would say. Sometimes the most expeditious act is to divest. Let go. Free up your mind, energy, money, and talent to pursue something else. Letting go of what doesn't work is like throwing useless baggage off an airplane in flight. It lightens the load and allows you to get where you want to go. Too much junk in the trunk can slow even a Ferrari. I've learned from working with successful people that they don't focus only on where they want to go and having the fuel to get there. They intentionally get rid of things that create drag. It is very common for leaders to tolerate drag of all sorts, failing to recognize the downside. Why? It can be harder to stop doing something than to add more to the list. So the hardest thing to do when you love something and you've helped to make it is to stop doing it and let it go. The hardest thing to do is to consider abandoning your work. And yet, I've watched my friends and family garden and farm in rhythms that allow whole seasons for decomposition. Now in my own garden, deep in the mess of roots and earth and insects, I am struck every season by how much new life relies on death. New life. New life for the church, freed from its baggage like a jet airplane, like a Ferrari with no junk in its trunk. New life for the church in these times, when not only our religious values, but our shared national values are under attack, when our people are being stolen and jailed and fired and restrained and physically hurt and sent away from their families and their homes. What a time to consider preparing your soil, not to make another run at what you've always done, but to prepare for what is needed to grow something new that helps people who are hurting right now. What would prepare your community's soil for what is going to grow next? Reverend Wallen's church near my house sold their building. It might be that, but it doesn't have to be that. Your soil, metaphorically, may need more joy, or more relationships, or more staff, or more commitment, or more chill. or more energy, or fewer programs, or one specific all-church effort. What you mostly need is to ask yourselves and your neighborhood, what is needed now that we could do? I've included a couple of resources in my materials for this sermon to help you ask that question of yourselves. And after you decide what you could do, you also need to be brave enough to ask what needs to be composted in order to make the soil rich enough for that next thing to grow. More from Reverend Wallen. It is frightening to see our churches failing. It is unsettling to find our resources changing. It is hard to adapt to a new religious and social climate. It is sad to know that something we love is dying. And yet here in my church, as we embrace our own composting, dreams of what comes next are percolating. Our understanding has changed. We are not dying and being cremated. We have leaned into the rot, into the trouble the building was giving us, and relinquished it, knowing that trading its ownership for sale proceeds will nourish something new. We see that composting this part of what we grew, the part that was choking out other parts of our ministry together, it can make way for a flurry of resurrection in our next season. Resurrection, a concept that sometimes trips up a UU. But resurrection is a fact that we experience in real time each year all around us, do we not? In our bodies, in the seasons, in our country, in our lives, and also in our churches, if we let that happen. Fear, avoidance, grief, of course those come into play when you consider drastic changes to anything about your congregational home. When you think about what's not working, the desire to simply hide from the reality can be overwhelming. Many faithful church leaders think their job is to keep the plates spinning, to maintain what has been handed down to them, as if what's been handed down to them is what church is and always must be. But I'm here to tell you that what has been handed down to you is not what church is and always must be. I promise you, when your congregation was born, it was creatively made to meet the specific needs of the people it served in the time and place that they were living. The people birthing it formed it around those needs. And then what happened was all of your people got so used to and good at doing it that way that you forgot that it was a created thing, a bespoke thing, a thing that was meant to help grow the things you needed to grow then, but may not be the same things you need help growing now. Soil needs the composting of rot and decay and death to be ready to grow the next thing. And your congregation's next phase, it will be growing out of the foundation of what it used to do and how it used to be, if you will just let those things go and fall away and turn into life-giving, regenerative mulch. Even the stuff you love, if it's no longer needed. Because what you need to love most is to meet the needs of your people in your place and your time. Everything else depends on your doing that. This is no longer an optional exercise in a world that is forgetting how to love or even respect across difference, forgetting that diversity is strength, forgetting that we all ultimately belong to each other even when we don't agree at all, forgetting to be grateful for the bounty of this miraculous world, the bounty that was given, and the bounty that we were able to make from what has been given, like a functioning government, democracy, vaccines, travel, communications. These are the sorts of things the world now desperately needs UUs to help us remember. And if we need to compost a lot of what we've been doing in order to help our values grow with joy and appeal, then I would say, let's go ahead and get to the dying that needs to happen. Let's let it go so we can get to where we're going. Reverend Wallen notes, so many church people were trained for the ministry of rich gardens. We were trained for a church of abundance, of flowers and bees and vegetables. But in this era, there will be fewer of us called to sustain a flower garden, and more of us called to the ministry of worms, to the work of composting, of consuming rot and creating possibility. The compost we create may nourish the congregation that let it go. It may be used for reparation. It may feed a bold ministry with a small budget, or it may plant a new church entirely. What is being broken down here? And instead of propping it up with pesticides and protecting it with mesh, could we celebrate the compost? What new life is waiting to flourish on the other side? Could we celebrate the compost? What new life is waiting to flourish on the other side? How can we all become ministers of worms, consuming rot and creating possibility? There's ultimately nothing tragic or even sad about enriching the soil. Soil is what grows the things that feed us. I say that this time of global and national destruction turns us all into ministers of worms, consuming this rot we're facing and creating possibility where perhaps otherwise none would exist. What new life is waiting to flourish on the other side, the side we can't yet see? When you are that Ferrari, suddenly divested of the junk in your trunk, where can you go? Our future, no matter what is to come, will be full of seeds that need planting, tending, and growing if we are to get to a world that places love at the center for everybody, for real. So I leave you with a funny sort of blessing today. May your congregational work be chock full of worms, of rot, of compost, of death. And may it likewise be full of resurrection, of rich soil, of plantings, of growth. May the generations that come after you long to carry out your vision for congregational life because it was so well suited to flourishing in its time. May you know the joy and peace that comes from interdependence and mutuality. We are now and always in this together. Amen. And go in peace.
I suspect a lot of you might have things to say on that topic after the service if you wanted to join that group. Please stand as you're able. Spirit of Life, number 123.
Rise in the sea.
History, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived, but if faced with courage, need not be lived again. Lift your eyes upon the day breaking for you. Give birth again to the dream. Our postlude is by the UU Church of Salt Lake City. We will go out into the world.
We will go out in the world and we will say who we are. We will lift our voices strong and face the tide. There is one prevailing justice and it's ours to uphold. We will go out into the world. As I learn the power of compassion and love, and I see the work that has to be done, I will give my whole commitment to the task that's at hand until I start to see that change has begun. We will go out in the world and we will say who we are. We will lift our voices strong and face the tide. There is one prevailing justice and it's ours to uphold. We will go out into the world. I can make a difference every day if I choose, whether joy and love will win or lose. As close as friends and family or as big as the world, this work I will embrace and I will do. We will go out in the world.
Thank you for coming. Please join in the back for refreshments, conversation, and second hour discussion groups.